why do we make decisions that our future selves so often regret?
I'm about to tell y'all a story. And in this story, this product, this liquor, plays a very, very important role to me. It deals with me and my father coming together and sorting out some differences and things. And bear with me, because it means a lot. This story is tied to, sometimes you should get the facts of a matter before you start doing things and create a disaster. We didn't have all the facts. We just went gung-ho and ran because our mother said so. We didn't know what really happened. We just went off of her words. And something bad could have happened that night to me, Antoine, or even the people that was with us. Or something could have bad happened to my father, my aunt, or even her son and her company that she had in the house. One day, you know, I was with my brother and them on the block. I had to be probably like 16, going on 17. And my mother came to the block and she was crying. And like any child, they see their mother crying, you know, you rush to her, you want to know what's going on, you're trying to figure out what's happening. I was with Antoine, who y'all know as Abraham. I was with a lot of the fellas on the block. I don't even name their names. But when we all ran over to her, she told us what was going on. She said that my father had walked up to a car that she was in and threw a clock on her lap and told her she had until midnight to get out of Syracuse, the town, right? To get out of town. And she was very, very emotional. And us as her sons, we got emotional. And you got to know the history behind a lot of things, which I'll talk about another time. But just to give a little quick, you know, situation, Antoine Abraham has this certain anger with my father. And me, I just had an anger because I seen my mother crying. So we was like, where he at? Where he at? And I was like, where's he at? Where's he at? Gonna find him. And at this time, you know, we thinking we thugs. We out there on the block. We hustling. We hanging with, you know, some niggas on the block. And we out there been fighting and doing all types of crazy stuff. And we think we really like some monsters out there. So here it is. You got some young men that was raised by a man, you know, angry, not thinking. We jumped in the car after she told us where he was. She said he was at our aunt house, Aunt Shirley house, and that's where we can find him. So now you got me, Abraham, and you got dudes from the block loading up the vehicle. We loading up like 2 vehicles, and we putting burners, straps in the vehicle. Mind you, we going to my father with this, with guns, hooligans, thugs from the block, because my mother was crying. She wasn't hit. There was no scars on her. She didn't say he drug her out the car or anything like that. But we're on our way with guns to my father at my aunt's house. So we arrive at my aunt's house and we see the door is kind of partially open. And my cousin James is there, and I hear music playing and everything like that. We rushing up to the door like the SWAT team. We coming up to the door like the SWAT team, Now, here's the thing. Before I get further into that, you got to know who my father is and who my aunt is, and the lifestyle that they lived and what they came from. No nonsense, no games, no jokes, real bodies, real murders. But we running up in there like the SWAT team while they're in there enjoying themselves, music playing and drinking and everything. So we run up in there to the front door. I was kind of nervous. I was scared because, I'm running up on my father. I'm like, something says this ain't right. But at the same time, I want to feel brave. And I see my older brother doing it. And I want to roll with him. And I want to stand with him on how we feel about our mother and everything. So all of the fellas rolled in, all on the side of me. I'm kind of hanging back. I stood by the doorway of the front door, because I'm looking at my cousin. I'm looking at my father. I'm looking at, my aunt. And I'm looking at, the company they had and everything like that. And I was like, yo, this is kind of scary at the same time. Antoine runs up in front of my father's face, and he has a sawed-off shotgun, and he's standing there, and he's crying. And my father has a drink in his hand, and he has his hat on. And he's looking at Antoine face to face. Antoine is face to face with him, and he holding the gun to his side, and he's looking him dead in the face, and he said, I don't know what you did to my mother, but you better not ever put your hands on her, or I will lay you where you stand. My father looked at him. He looked at the dudes that came with us. And then he looked over at the doorway and looked at me. And I felt like Sylvester, the cat on the cartoons. Whiteness came over my body. I was terrified because I didn't know what was going to happen. I looked at my aunt. I looked at him again. I didn't know if this was about to be a shootout. I didn't know if this was going to be whatever it was going to be, because they didn't play games, and Antoine was really serious that night. I mean, really serious. He was firm on how he felt and what he wanted to accomplish because of a moment of waiting to do such a thing. Within me, I still was like, that's my father. I can't go over there and do that. I can't be like this. I'm scared. So then my father looks around and he nods his head like this. And he said, okay. My aunt was like, she called our names and she called Antoine's name, and he didn't say nothing to her. He looked at her and turned away, and we all started backing out. And Antoine turned and he started backing out with the gun, and he was looking and he was backing out. As he was saying what he was saying, we watched ourselves as we got to the car, and I could see in my father's face, it wasn't anger. It wasn't anger even in my aunt's face. As they listened to what Antoine explained to him about doing what he did, or, him coming. My father didn't try to defend himself. He didn't try to say that wasn't that way or anything like that. He just looked in disbelief and kind of hurt. He looked as sad because he couldn't believe that his sons did this. He couldn't believe that his sons had the audacity to come to him with weapons. Guns, to cause harm to him. But in that moment, we still didn't care. He didn't care. And we got out of there and we drove away. I was silent. Antoine was going off. Everybody was passing drinks and blunts and things like that and saying what they were saying. And like, yeah, you defend your mom. This and that. Like I said, I was 16 going on 17. And I'm not going to make the story too long with that. I could go into detail, but I'm not going to go into great detail about it. I'm just going to tell you that time had passed. I was terrified thinking that he was going to get us one day. He was going to be sniping us or something someday. And like I said, you know the history of my father, and then you would understand why I felt that way. But he didn't do anything. He really let everything ride. And years went by and I didn't see my father, and I didn't even know where he was. I tried to go back and look for him, but I couldn't find him because he had moved.